Hello everybody, it's me, your good friend Sparky, and welcome back to Day 3 in the Gamecube version of Pikmin. We arrive at the Forest Navel, which is the area that we unlocked by collecting 4 ship parts on Day 2. And that was a bit of a chaotic, down to the last second sort of situation. But would you imagine that Day 3 might be even more chaotic, considering we need to lay claim to 5 ship parts on Day 3 in order to make our deadline of 10 days. Though there is a bit of grace and forgiveness on this particular day. We don't actually necessarily need to collect all of the ship parts. We just need to acquire them and get them back to camp. You'll see what I mean by that as the day goes on. But, the Forest Navel does not make things easy for us. This is where things start to get much more complicated in Pikmin. The Forest Navel is a good deal bigger than the, Forest of Hope. It does take longer to traverse this area. And there's also a lot of different, like, layers and different gates to blow down, and a lot of bomb rock gates that you need to take care of. But you don't necessarily need to take care of them. It really all comes down to sort of picking your battles and making use of your resources. Because if you try to knock down every single gate in the area, it's just gonna take up way too much time. Like, way too much. There's gonna be no time for anything else. Not to mention, this particular area is also going to be full of new enemies to fight, with that are much more complicated than your average bulborbs and things like that. Like these guys, the fiery blowhogs, who shoot fire out of their faces. And it just so happens that red Pikmin are immune to fire, which is very handy in this case. But honestly, the red Pikmin's immunity to fire doesn't come into play as often as you would expect. It's really only in the Forest Navel that we really even necessarily need the immunity. I mean, there are other spots in the game afterwards, but the Forest Navel is definitely the part of the game that it comes into play the most often. Right now, we're basically trying to just clear out some enemies as fast as we can, like the fiery blowhogs and the shearwigs here, who are sort of the evolved form of the sheer grubs, who we also saw a little bit of earlier, and we also saw them in the Forest of Hope, too. And then there's this guy. This guy's the potato bug. I don't care if official media refers to him as being a bread bug. I will always refer to this guy as a potato bug, because he just kind of looks like a potato wandering around, and he steals stuff, and you gotta drag him back to your camp. So he bonks his head on the onion, and he kind of just dies afterwards. A little jingle in the background there does mean that one of the bridges we had the yellow Pikmin building is now done. We're gonna be hearing different jingles going off in the background around the area. And also, there's these guys. That's a Wollywog. And Wollywogs are terrible. They are absolutely terrible. If you're not careful with the Wollywogs, they can very easily just annihilate an entire group of Pikmin. Even after they're dead. He was out of health, he still managed to jump into the air, and if he landed, he would have taken out a bunch of Pikmin that were underneath him. And also, the sheer grubs and shearwigs have this really annoying, I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but if they start eating a Pikmin, they can't be killed and take damage for a while. So, yeah, that's also really annoying. And then there's also this guy, the Puffstool. You don't really want to give the Puffstool a chance to do anything that he's going to do. I found the Omega Stabilizer! I absolutely must have this piece if my battered ship is ever to fly straight again. And has steered me through countless deep space storms. That, and it looks rather cool. The Puffstool has the ability to turn your Pikmin into Mushroom Pikmin, which will then attack Olimar, and you have to shake them loose in order to get them to stop being Mushroom Pikmin after they're attacking Olimar. And it's really just best to take out the Puffstool before he has a chance to do that. Also, don't run into fire. Fire does a lot of damage. The red Pikmin might be immune to fire, but Olimar is not. And it hurts a lot when Olimar runs into fire. So, yeah. The Forest Navel is full of a lot of much more varied and unique enemies that are a lot more complicated to deal with than the regular old Bulborbs and stuff we were dealing with in the Forest of Hope. And it really just... they hurt. They hurt a lot if you don't know how to take care of them. And they just kind of suck. They do. A lot of the enemies in this area are rather annoying to deal with, unless you know the proper way to deal with them. And trust me, Day 3 took me a lot of attempts, and I definitely learned the proper ways to deal with all of these enemies. It wasn't easy. This whole day was just kind of full of chaos and very difficult to handle. But, I mean, you're watching this, so that generally you can predict that maybe I actually managed to finish it. And by the way, the potato bug was holding another ship part. It is the space float. This float is an absolute necessity for any pilot who lacks skill in swimming in space. Very handy. Very nice. And some yellow Pikmin apparently decided to carry some stuff back at some point. I don't know when they did that, but they did. Might as well just take out another one and have them help out knocking down gates and stuff. And also, time to heal Olimar at the ship to get rid of that beeping. We need to collect 7 more parts to increase the dolphin's capabilities, and Olimar has taken the opportunity to repair his spacesuit. Very nice. But now, we have something else to take care of. Like finding the last color of Pikmin. The blue onion is now awake. And we need to start raising up a small batch of blue Pikmin. We're not going to need a lot today. But we are definitely going to need at least the 20 that I have saved room for. Hello there, little guy. It is a Pikmin of yet another color. Near this one's cheeks is what appears to be a set of gills. This trait suggests to me that the blue type of Pikmin can enter water without any trouble whatsoever. There's only one way to find out. Well, considering it's already standing in a pool of water, I think it's safe to assume that it can enter the water. Yeah, the general weakness of Pikmin, aside from the blue Pikmin, is that they drown really easily. You don't want them to go into water at all. It won't end well. Omega Stabilizer. This is the dolphin's fin. It's a little beaten up, but it should still function. I've made great strides in repairing the dolphin. With this, I should be able to fly again, even if I don't recover all 30 parts. I have now recovered 6 of 30 parts. If I can find just 6 more, I should be able to increase my ship's capabilities. That is actually an important note to make about Pikmin 1. You do not technically need to recover all 30 ship parts in order to complete the game, but it's only specific ship parts that you don't need. There are actually 5 parts that are entirely optional, and if you don't have those 5 parts, you can still escape the planet on day 30. However, the game doesn't really give you any indication of which of the ship parts are optional. So really, you can only figure that out through trial and error. I do know, off the top of my head, just to mention it, that the Nova Blaster that we collected in the Forest of Hope is one of the optional ship parts. There is about one ship part in each area, technically, not really, that you don't need. There's actually 2 in one area that are optional. But the Forest of Hope has an optional ship part, which is the Nova Blaster. The Forest Navel has an optional ship part. And this message is popping up again about 100 Pikmin. They're only allowed... About there being only 100 Pikmin allowed on the field. I don't know why, but the game likes repeating that message a lot. It's some kind of weird glitch that I really don't know why it happens, but yeah. But yeah, the Forest Navel has an optional ship part, the Forest of Hope has an optional ship part, the 2 areas after the Forest Navel have the rest of the optional ship parts. The only area that you actually have to get all of the ship parts in is the impact site. But, I guess we'll get to that when we get to that. We need to take our Blue Pikmin down here and find another ship part. It's the number 1 Ionium Jet. Unfortunately, this puts out a slightly odoriferous exhaust, but it does propel me to escape velocity in an instant. The stench is a small price to pay for such performance. This one is not optional. We do need to collect this one, and this is the one part that we are going to definitely need our Blue Pikmin for today. Other than that, we're not really going to be making much use of our new blue friends. Which is a shame, because blue happens to be my favorite color, and the Blue Pikmin are just about the right shade of blue. I do love their color, their coloring. Aside from that, though, you may notice that we're not grabbing the space float right now. And that's because you don't technically need to grab the space float as long as it's at your camp. When you leave an area at the end of a day, whatever parts you happen to be collecting, they stay there. They stay where you left them. So if you can't get a part all the way back to the dolphin, you can come back the next day or a day or two after and grab them then. Since the space float is already at camp, I'm not spending too much time actually trying to get it back to the onion. The dolphin. I found my gravity jumper! By manipulating the forces of gravity, this key component gives me the final boost I need to make the jump to super light speed. Good thing I found it. So yeah, I'm focusing my efforts here on getting parts that aren't nearby camp and trying to get them close to camp at the very least. Because, oh, speaking of getting things back to camp, got the number 1 Ionium Jet back. Number 1 Ionium Jet. This is damaged, but if this is damaged, I'll be in dire straits. I will have to run a system check as soon as I can. I've recovered 7 of 30 parts. If I can just find 5 more, I should be able to increase my ship's capabilities. Yeah. Sometimes, if a part is close enough to camp, it makes more sense to kind of leave it where it is and try to get it later. Or even just come back on another day and get it. And trying to get more ship parts that are farther away, closer to camp, instead. Because as you can see, the day is almost done. And we have not actually accomplished the goal of gathering the 5 ship parts that I had my sights set on. But we've done a good enough job in at least carrying the parts close enough to the dolphin that it doesn't matter if we actually grab all of them, you know? If we get the parts close enough to camp, it's basically the same thing. Also, there's this thing that I never actually checked out and the Pikmin grabbed on their own. It's the automatic gear. It has thin cracks running through it. I tried to fill them with dirt. I hope it will be alright. And I have now recovered 8 of 30 parts. If I can just find 4 more, I should be able to increase my ship's capabilities. And that is actually the last part that we're actually going to get back to the dolphin today. There's just not enough time left in order to get the other parts back to the dolphin. The countdown has started. The day is over. We are just doing a little cleanup, knocking down some gates we need to knock down, and just making sure the gravity jumper up there gets close enough to camp where we can easily grab it the next day. And they actually did almost make it. And yes, I did notice those Pikmin fall off the edge. They got pretty darn close, all things considered. And that is the end of Day 3 on the GameCube version of Pikmin. A little messy, but we still technically accomplished what we needed to do. Even though we didn't actually get 2 of the ship parts back, they will be waiting for us the next time we come to the Forest Navel. And yeah, the little Pikmin that got separated from the group right at the end, they get flattened. 3 days since impact. I now add yellow Pikmin to my list of discoveries. These creatures can wield bomb rocks, so perhaps I can make use of them to blast down rock walls and open up new regions. Red and yellow Pikmin, as well as bomb rock carriers, break into squads when dismissed with X, or when I grab one for a moment by holding A. A little late on the draw there, Olimar. We already took care of yellow Pikmin and bomb rocks yesterday. But there are results for the day. We sprouted 37 Pikmin, lost 7 in battle, and unfortunately left 3 behind, who got separated from the group right at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure. Unless there was another couple rogue Pikmin just kind of hanging out somewhere. And we only ended up getting up to 8 ship parts collected, but the other 2 ship parts that we left behind will be right there waiting for us when we come back to the Forest Navel on a later day. So, thank you very much for watching. This is your good friend Sparky signing off for now. I will catch you later.